Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. And today I have a kit that I am eagerly awaiting to build, even though I have not heard the greatest reviews of the anime. But that is the new plastic Getter Arc. Now this is not part of the Infinitism series of big redone super robots of old. This is kind of its own thing. It is a big box. It's not super thick, but it is definitely big. And you can see here Getter Arc and his giant blade hands, his weird funky pointy cape thing, big giant tomahawk, his open mouth for the Getter Crush, and the Thunder Bomba. Thunder Bomba. So yeah. Can't speak to the quality of the anime. I absolutely loved the manga, which unfortunately was never finished as the mangaka Ken Ishikawa died before its completion, sadly. I have it all upstairs somewhere. Not that anybody really cares, probably. So you can see we have a double dose of sprues and runners. Nothing pre-painted there. Typical whites and grays. We do have all of the gold, but unfortunately I don't like when they do that. Having to put the silver stickers. Am I gonna do it? That remains to be seen. I don't know. Other than all those blade parts, it doesn't look like there's tons of sticker work necessary. Again, lots of reds, lots of whites, but if you've built or seen Getter Robo, that shouldn't be all that surprising. And then we have a kind of soft gray for the runners, that the weaponry, and it looks like the joints are on. In addition to that, we do have a typical Bandai hexagonal base included. That's always a plus with all of the various options of getting our model nice and safely posed. Let's get this box out of the way because it is absolutely massive and I'm going to spill it. I hope not. As I hurl it to the floor here and hopefully don't step on it. Alright, let's take a look. So, I believe they had the Soul of Chogokin version of this guy coming out at roughly the same time. Looked pretty cool. I'm always hit or miss on the actual Bandai Chogokin. I've been really enjoying a lot of the Chinese stuff that's been coming out of original creations, but, you know, and I figured I love me some Getter Robo, and I want to absolutely see it continue to be made in plastic. So surprisingly, oh, it's like, wait a minute, we're already skipping parts off of a brand new sprue, but that's because they're a duplicate of this one. Okay. Gotcha there. Everything else looks like it's going to get used. There's like 8 runners or so. Obviously, we have a bit of stuff on that stand we may not be actually getting to. Okay, typical explanations. If you've never built any of this stuff, if this is new to you building plastic model kits, they will walk you through it and hold your hand. This is nowhere near as hardcore as some of the other stuff you may have seen on this channel, but I got to do something wild and build one of those big crazy kits, I think. I do appreciate the fact that it is in both English and Japanese. Number one, I can read English, but number two, it helps me practice, because every time I ever ask for help at home translating any of this stuff, everyone's like, go read it yourself. My family's lame. They don't help with that kind of stuff. Not anywhere near as often as they should. So, pretty simple construction. It doesn't look anywhere as big or as complex as some of the other stuff, like I said, the Infinitism. Maybe I should grab one. I know I have a bunch at work. But it is definitely a step up from your typical high-grade kit. It doesn't look anywhere as complex, obviously, as a master grade. And if you're familiar with the typical GW or tabletop plastic model stuff, I don't think this is anything out of your, you know, realms of expertise. Doesn't look too tough. Me, I absolutely love Getter Robo. Getter Robo was my all-time favorite of the giant robots, solely based on the manga. TV, my heart will always be with this guy. But anyways, let me get this guy all put together, and hopefully I can get this light back on because that box is so shiny. Ah, light. And we'll see how everything turns out. Sit tight. Okay, we got Getter Arc all put together here, and I gotta say, well, he's really big. He's really big. Here's our typical 1/144th Gundam for comparison's sake. And I gotta say, I love the design of him, but something about it is feeling really stiff stiff. And, like, I don't know what to say. So, I'm not a big fan of how his arm blades are basically just this spinny piece that doesn't really attach. It just kind of sits on the forearm. Now, if you want to put the blade version in, it's easily remedied when it wants to actually stay in there. And that's kind of where I am with this kit, is it seems very bare bones, very let's just get it done and not put a whole lot of effort or energy into it. I feel like his arms are also too short. He's very barrel-chested. And just with the way things have worked out here, his legs quite long. Actually pretty decent maneuverability, but then it's kind of hampered by you can't really do a whole lot with his actual foot. His backpack spike things, pretty flexible, pretty posable. Don't really have any complaints there. I mean, that's kind of how it was in the manga. Haven't seen the anime, haven't heard the best things about the anime, but that's okay. Getter Robo, honestly and truly, is probably one of my favorite mangas. Been a big fan of Ken Ishikawa's stuff ever since I first laid eyes on the original series way back when my middle brother ended up in Japan for the first time and brought some back for me in the 90s. And I mean, I'd already seen the Shin Getter Robo OVAs, so that sealed the deal. So I mean, overall, it's really nice. There's a couple extra hands, but there's not a whole lot. I mean, he's got his big old tomahawks, but they're really top heavy, and I just feel like if I put them in his hands, it'll flop over. Putting with the Super Mini Claw version. Unfortunately, I gotta say, it still doesn't really hold a candle to my Devolution Getter. But then again, this is like an unofficial kit, and if you guys want to really hear about this one, I can do a whole video on this thing. This is a big hunk of plastic, and I know they just put out a black version of it as well. But I do like having all the Getters. I haven't got the Infinitism one yet, but I feel like the Infinitism one is probably going to be a lot more substantial in terms of its weight. This guy feels really light. He's really empty and hollow. And I mean, even, you know, my Super Mini Claw Getter Dragon here, I feel like has a little bit more heft to him. He's just kind of hollow and empty. Not that it looks bad or anything. I think it looks good. It just doesn't have the, like, dynamicism of this guy, and it doesn't have the, I don't know, the inner workings or mechanics of something from like the Infinitism line or a Real Grade or some of the larger models of his size level. I think for his price, he's a little pricey and overpriced, but I guess maybe there's just such a small market for Getter Arc that, you know, there's just not a whole lot of people interested. That's the only thing I can really think of. Which is a shame, because, like I said, the Getter series is probably my all-time favorite manga. The mangas definitely go places, especially in comparison to other things that were coming out at the time. And they just keep going with it. But all in all, a nice kit. I just feel like it's a little bit pricey for what it is and for how detailed it is. I was expecting something more along the lines of, like, the Digimon figurized kits, or like I said, Real Grade mechanics, something like that. I feel like it's just, for the price, it's a little bare bones. Not that it doesn't do what it's supposed to do well, not that it doesn't look accurate to how he should look. It's just my little nitpickings about his arms and, I don't know, his lack of really dynamic action poses. But then again, that's kind of a hindrance as well, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. All in all, I'm happy I've got him. I'm happy he's in my collection, and if you're a fan of the Getter stuff, I'd say get it while you can, because for whatever reason, these types of models with Bandai that just get sent out to die, stuff like Gasaraki, stuff like the brain-powered kits, some of the L Game reissues, the Dunbine reissues, they get hard to find later on. So if it seems like something you're into, I'd suggest go grab them now while you can. And I have seen these in distribution in the US, so that's a plus as well. At least you should be able to find these out there on the market. And if the looks like something you're into, I say, like I said, grab it now while you can, because you may regret it later. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.